On you mad dogs, this is how to do an RC Colorado clutch. So I'm doing it on a 2010 Isuzu D-Max, same thing, as long as it's got the 4JJ1. In this instance I don't have a hoist or anything, so I've just lifted the car up on some big ramps, and then I've put some car stands at the back, laid down some cardboard so I'm not rolling around in the dirt. First thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do all the interior stuff first. So that includes taking off the gear stick, all this plastic trim, taking off the plugs on the top of the gearbox, and I'm also going to put through, alrighty, so on here there's a couple of Phillips heads around the place, one on each side over there, and then this slips over the top. So there's two Phillips heads in the bottom of the box, and then two on the sides down there. Alright, with the center console out, now you have access to this grommet. So basically, removing this guy here, up she comes. Should just be slotted over that, yeah. So put that off to the side. Now, these are Phillips heads all around, and then two 10 mils on the fronts. Which hold that in. You won't have this going on in yours either. This is wiring to my sub. But yeah, so just pull this plate out, and then you can keep moving forward. There you go, just like that. You're into the top of the gearbox, where we have two switches we need to get there. A bolt we need to get over there for the transfer case. Center screen in focus now, and we got to take the gear stick off. So gear stick straightforward, 412 mils, take it out, put something over this, so that you don't get shit in your gear stick. Could probably take it out down here too, either or I'd say. Yeah, and then we got a 14 mil here, here, and then I'd say that's about it for the top of the gearbox. Oh, and we're also going to take out those two bell housing bolts while we're in here. So we're going to start with the gear stick, cover that up, and we're going to get those bell housing bolts, and then we're going to go forward from there. Alrighty, so I've got shifter off, bell housing bolts out, smacked out this 14 mil, and I've taken off these are what they're called, fucking sensors, and I've labelled them top because a lot of people make mistakes when they're putting this all back together and plug the wrong shit in and it starts popping reverse fuses and all that. Anyway, now we're going to take off the tail shaft. So center bearings, take the bolts off the center bearing, mark the shaft. It's probably a balanced shaft, even if it's not. I always like to mark so that it goes back on in the exact same orientation. And then we're going to drop these 4 sets of 14s and drop the entire tail shaft down. Right, so now that tail shaft's out of the way, we're going to start focusing on pulling the transfer case off. So right where the transmission mount or gearbox mount is, that's where the transfer case disconnects via these 14 mils. So we already cracked the one at the top. So now we're going to start working our way around, but before we do that, we're just going to rip this front axle out, front drive shaft, just to make our life easier when we pull the transmission mount, when we pull the transfer case, sorry. And then we're also going to pull off all these clips. So it looks like there's 2 clips, maybe like sensors, switches, actuators, whatever. Pull off the loom off the transfer case at the same time. So let's get that done. Alrighty, so I've got tail shaft off, the wiring loom off for the transfer case. I've got most of the transfer case bolts off. I've still got one up here. Right now the fuel line, fuel return and fuel send is in my way, so I'm going to take off this little bracket off the side of the gearbox so that I can move the fuel stuff to the side. There's one little clip in this plate here for the fuel and one little one here. I can get that, pull that off, and just give myself some room to get that last bolt up behind there, up there, and then I'll put the transmission jack in and we'll slide the transfer case off. Alrighty, sorry, a bit hard to see. Everything's undone on this. So now, that's not going to be that easy, but that'll wiggle out of there. I've got my transmission jack in place. I'll drop down on that, and I drop that out of the way. Try not to spill any of the oil out. You can take the oil out beforehand. I just generally don't. Alright, let's get that out of there. There you go. That's your transfer case out. So now I'll pull that off to the side and we'll start tackling the gearbox. Alright, so moving on to the gearbox side. So we have our mount here, but before we take that out, so it's going to be 2 bolts up here, 2 bolts over here. They're through bolts, so you're going to need something on a socket on the other side. We're going to take out all the bell housing bolts first, so all around. And then we're going to also take off the clutch slave cylinder, the rest of the loom, and then what else? Oh, and then we've got to pull the clutch fork out. Alrighty, so up in here, there's the pin. I've already got it out. It's really hard to show on camera, but you see that hole there? That's where the pin for the clutch fork goes. So basically on the top side of that, so yeah, you can't really see it, but on the top side there's a split pin. You need to use something like this here to get the split pin out, and then you use something like these long nose extended angle pliers to get that pin out so the clutch fork is released, because it's a pull style clutch, so the throw out bearings connected to that, so you need to be mindful of that. Now we're going to get all the tools out of the way. We're going to get the transmission jack in place, and we're going to start dropping down this subframe, because we've got all the bell housing bolts out, starter motor, you know, everything. Starter motor, oh, if you can see that, starter motor is loose, so you know, everything should just kind of come out now. Yeah, bell housing bolts on all sides are done. Fucking Aussie. Yeah, so now we just need to basically get this out of the road so that we can drop the box. Hopefully not spill oil everywhere. It's getting a bit dark, but once you get the gearbox out, you will be looking at your clutch situation. Oh, spilled a little bit of oil, but she's alright. So yeah, up here you'll be looking at your clutch. So circling the clutch is all 12 mils. Rip that off, and then there'll be 17 mils that hold the flywheel in place. So you get your clutch off. The bolts of the flywheel, sorry, were 19 mils. And you take off your adapter plate, and that'll bring you into here. So I'll give you some light. So in here, we've got the back access to the back of the turbo up there, to some of it at least. We also have access to our rear main seal, so we're going to drop all those 12 mils. We're going to replace this pilot bearing, spriget bearing, whatever you want to call it. And then we're going to take the flywheel to the machine shop to get fixed up. So I guess all we're doing, a bit of rust. Oh well. Anyway, so what we're doing, we're gonna take out the pilot bearing tomorrow, but right now we're gonna take off the rear main seal housing so we can clean that up and get it ready. That looks like fucking actual death. Whatever that is, you don't want to breathe it. That's actually all clutch material. So yeah, this clutch, you can see she's kind of glazed over on the engine side. On the still got a fair bit of meat on it, but why I'm changing this out was because it was stuttering. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's get that rear main housing off. Alrighty, so I've just gone ahead, swapped out my exhaust. It's just an extra something I'm doing while I'm under here. As you can see, I put a spark plug from a mower inside the GR valve because I couldn't find a bolt with the right thread. Anyway, so now I'm going to take out this pilot bearing. This one doesn't actually feel bad at all. Anyone who knows this trick knows to grab yourself some Wonder White. Grab yourself a bit of Wonder White and you shove it in the hole. So just try get about 2 loaves of bread in there. Not loaves, sorry, 2 pieces of bread. Just keep shoving it in, compressing it with your finger. So yeah, you're just gonna keep shoving the bread in there, and then when that's nice and packed, we'll show you the next bit. Alrighty, anyone who's seen this knows what comes next. Get yourself a socket or something, put it in there. You may need to pack as you go. Hang on, I'll put my hammer down somewhere. Oh, what the hell? Yeah, hammer, hammer, hammer. Oh no. Alright, first you find your hammer. Alright, so you get your hammer. Find your bearing. And you now you might need, as I said, you might need to chuck some more bread in there. Just keep stuffing and hammering. It's almost like a hydro force, like hydraulics. It's forcing the bread out, nowhere to go. There you go. The bread removal tool. It does fuck the bearing, but it also removes it. And you just get something to get the bread out. And then you eat that up. Alrighty, now that you have your pilot bearing out, you can either put the pilot bearing in now or you can install your rear main. So I've already gone ahead, removed the old rear main from the housing, put the new one in. So basically you're going till it's flush with this inner lip. So this bit of rubber is flush with this all the way around. Find the orientation, it'll go like that. You're going to need a tool to press this on evenly. I'll put a link in the description for that. I'm going to go ahead and put the rear main on after I JB Weld high temp, RTV high temp the outer ring, and then I'll get the tool, press it on, and then we're going to install that pilot bearing. So with the tool on, you're basically going to evenly tighten all these down, and then you're going to use a bunch of spacers to get it so that this plate is touching the back of the crank. And that's installed, and then you do your bolts up and you're done. A little helper here. Oh yeah, so there she is. Rear main seal back in. Used my tool along with my spacers, the original bolts, and yeah, got that back in. So now, this here, this loom, kind of always, when we put the gearbox back on, we want to try and get it above, because that side all runs, that runs to the top, and that runs to the transfer case. And then this stuff over here is for the other side. Anyway, that's sidetrack. So yeah, now we've got all that back in. We're going to put our adapter plate back on. Alrighty, so I have my flywheel on. You can see that's been machined. They're all back in. I've just uggered them and then hand tightened them. I'm sure there's a torque spec that I don't care for. So there's the clutch with the spline alignment tool. in place. So now we're going to pull the pressure plate off, clean it up and stick it in. Alright, clutch is on. Now you can remove the alignment tool and then just have a look through there. Should be a relatively straight shot. Now what we're going to do is, providing you got a decent clutch, should come with a little pack of grease. So we're just going to very lightly use our disgusting finger. I'm going to brush it on the inside of those splines and just be conservative. You don't need to be crazy liberal with it. Just enough to give it a little bit of grease without it fucking throwing grease all over your flywheel, because that will be bad. There it is. So make sure you grease the pin, grease the split pin, grease the parts that are touching the throwout bearing, and grease the part that is touching the slave cylinder, and a little bit of grease on the splines. Pretty well anything that you don't want making much noise, you should grease, because you'll get little rattles and all sorts of shit going on. So yeah, let's get into it. Now we're going to put the gearbox on the transmission jack, get her up there and get her back in. Patience. So you use your transmission jack to get up into place, and then what I'm doing at the moment is I've got all the weight now on this rear strap acting as my rear brace, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap this mount out quickly. I mean, it is fine, but I'm going to swap it because I'm in here and I'm going to do it now. The engine up, just finger loose, like leave a lot of thread, put one bottom bolt in, and then you're going to come through and you're going to button it all back in. So I'm going to start with the bell housing bolts. As you can see, I have space up there to work right now, so I'm going to try and get those top dogs in. You can actually see them there. Hey, it might even be easier to do that from back here. So you see them right back there. I'm going to go for those two first, so maybe I'll get a million extensions, see if I can't run across the top rather than going in through the transmission tunnel hole. How's that for cheeky? All the way in, and then just I'll finish it up by hand. Go on over. Go for this one too. Far out. That's living, Barry. Oh, don't want to leave that there. Come on, baby. Don't forget your switches. I mean, all your switches and stuff. So they're all color coded. So as far as your loom goes, if you run it across the top right, the first set go on the driver's side of the gearbox here. The second set, they're the same color, so you got to be fucking careful. The second set go on the top of the gearbox up there. So first set, second set as it comes along the loom, and then third set here, same colors again, are in the side of the TC. So I've got that marked here, transmission case. And then the last set go, they're the only plugs that'll fit that, but the last set then they go in the, I think it's like the actuator for the transmission case. So yeah, try not to fuck that up. Already bell housing bolts all done up. My little cheeky method worked with the front plugs in, leaving all the top and stuff for right now. So now I've taken the pressure back off my strap. I've replaced my transmission mount, and now I'm going to put my transmission support back in. The mount that I took off was 4 bolts, the new one was 2 bolts, but on the furthest back holes from the engine, so the set that's further back, the transmission mount fits this way, so that's fine. Now I'm just going to whack it all back together, and then we'll be onto we're just going to put all that side back together. Also, don't forget to push the clutch fork, so get your hand in the inspection hole and push the clutch fork towards the back of the car. That'll lock the throwout bearing back into the pressure plate, and then that's what's going to make your clutch work. Alrighty, so we got all the side stuff back on, slave cylinders back in, inspection plates back on, all the bell housing bolts tight. I've got the fuel stuff all back in where it belongs. So we've also got these bolts back on tight. These bolts are up here tight. Everything's tight. Feels good again. So this wire here comes from the clutch slave cylinder. So it goes under there, up, and then that goes into the grey plug on the top, which will be there. So that's from the top to the grey plug. And there's a red plug on the top as well. Don't get that mixed up. Go ahead and get the transfer case back in place. Yee-hoo. So yep, I'm gonna lift that up using that little bracket thing down there. Then I'm gonna chuck it back up and we're gonna be fucking laughing. Alrighty, so, I know I say alrighty every time, but anyway. We got this top bolt here back in. This bolt down here can be quite a pain. You can get it from this side with a, what is it, like a little fella. Yeah, a little fella like that, we'll get it. And then put this all back together, put a dollop of grease on the end, make sure your boots are all good. If you need to replace stuff, now's the time to do it. And switches back in. So yeah, you got your red and your grey. And now let's put the interior back together while I got some clean hands. There you go, all back together. Took the time to give it all a bit of a deep clean. Yep, now time to put those drive shafts on and you're done. There you go, clutch all installed. Hope that helps. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If you like this video, give it a like. If you don't, dislike it, leave me a comment. Remember, subscribe if you like my stuff, and I really appreciate you guys. Yee-hoo!